I've been getting requests to shoot this sequence for quite some time, but I'll start with a disclaimer and say that there's a lot of different ways to skin this cat, and this is just the method that has worked well for me. Tried a lot of different things, and this sequence works well. So I start with goblet squats, and as I'm doing these, this isn't just a warm-up. This first one for me is really being very focused on my body and aware of what's going on and using it as an assessment tool. What I'm assessing is the balance of the tightness and soreness of my adductors, my glutes, my hams, and some of the psoas and hip flexors. When you're doing these, do them like a squat. Stay tight. Keep that spine rigid and neutral. Do not round out and just drop in and rest like you're stretching and being sloppy. Grip the ground with your feet. Twist it out. If you're not grabbing that ground and you're rolling on the side of your heel to drop into the hole, you won't be able to activate those glutes. Some of the other things, you won't be able to tell what's going on, and you won't be turning them on to fire properly. Keep that movement clean and tight. Fire those glutes through, and again, make sure you're keeping those feet planted and gripping that ground so that the glutes can work properly, and keeps everything else tight so you can know what's going on. If I determine that I've got more issues going on with the adductors or tight psoas, I'll move into the Bulgarian split squat or rear leg elevated split squat next. So I'm doing some with the body weight here, and then some with the kettlebells. Just depends on where I'm at, how I feel. So one, keep those hips square and straight. Keep your foot planted. Be stepped out far enough that you're able to draw the rear knee backwards and really stretch out the psoas on opposite of the side where you're working the adductor. And this will also work the glute firing. So if you've got any residual tightness in the psoas or a strained adductor that hasn't recovered from the last warm-up, it'll become very evident doing this movement, and you'll should be able to tell if you've been able to work through it completely and ready to move on, and how heavy you should be able to go in your training. I typically do 2 sets per side, 10 reps, more if needed. If during my assessment I felt that I was tighter in the hamstrings or glutes, I'll move on to the single leg deadlift. It's a great movement. Notice my back. I've got a lot of development in my back there, so sometimes it may appear that it's rounded, but keep your spine neutral. It's not how far you go down, but really make sure once you reach that point where you're not able to go any further without rounding, that you reach with that rear leg, and you'll really feel the stretch from there. So after either of those 2 movements, I'll move on to this movement for the third movement. So I've got one leg at 90 to each other, and I'm rotating about the hip of the knee that's on the ground, just back and forth a little bit. Now I'm not using the leg that's out front at a 90. What I'm doing is balancing between the glute and the VMO, keeping those tight and contracting one and the other to really move myself back and forth from one side of the hip to the other. The interaction of those two, the interplay, has a huge impact on squatting and whether that's working or not. So this one works really well for me to get me queued up for those movements. So again, you're using the glute and the VMO of the knee that's on the ground, or that leg, to move your body weight and shift it from one side of the knee to the other. When you're doing it properly, you should really feel that glute engaging pretty hard. So after all 3 movements, what I do is I move on right back to the beginning, to the goblet squat, so I can reassess where I'm at and what improvements I've made based on using those movements, and then to determine to what level I'm going to take the training to the day. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out my website, kabukiwarrior.com.